It feels like everywhere you look these days, right? Grabbing something for a morning boost, hitting the gym, or even just like getting through a late night working or studying.
Absolutely. Sports and energy drinks, they're just part of the landscape now, globally.
Totally woven into how we live. Okay, so let's unpack this because honestly, if you thought this market was already big, well, you should hear where it's actually headed.
Mm-hmm.
Today on the deep dive, our mission is basically to give you the quick, clear picture. We're talking about the booming global sports and energy drink market.
Yeah, the key numbers, the big regions.
And some like really surprising growth areas too. It tells you a lot about how we're all changing our habits.
And all this insight, it's drawn from a pretty comprehensive report, the Global Sports and Energy Drink Market Outlook.
Okay, let's get into it. If you thought this market was big, just wait until you hear where it's going.
It's fascinating, really. Not just the sheer scale, but the speed, the pace of expansion all around the world.
It's not slow and steady, is it?
No, not at all. It feels like a really profound shift, how these drinks are just becoming normal, part of the daily routine for so many people.
Right, so let's start with the big picture, those headline numbers. What are we talking about globally?
Okay, so back in 2021, the report pegged the global market at $33.276 billion.
33 billion. Okay, that's already a pretty hefty number.
Yeah, but that's just the starting point, really. The projections,
Yeah.
they're quite something.
Go on.
We're looking at around $45.69 billion by 2025. So next year, basically.
Wow, okay.
And then the projection goes all the way up to $86.141 billion by 2033.
86 billion.
$86 billion. And that growth trajectory, it reflects a really robust compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 8.249% over that whole period.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for you listening. That means it's more than doubling
Exactly.
in just, what, 12 years? A bit over a decade?
Mm-hmm. That kind of sustained acceleration, it's remarkable.
What does that tell us, though, about the bigger picture?
Well, I mean, it really suggests a huge global shift
Yeah.
in what consumers want, right? Maybe
Yeah.
it's about fitness culture, maybe it's the pace of life, needing convenient energy.
Or maybe just the blurring lines between work and life, you know?
Could be all of those things.
Oh.
It definitely shows functional beverages aren't niche anymore. They're mainstream.
Okay, so let's dive a bit deeper. Let's talk regions. North America, obviously, a huge player.
Oh, absolutely. A real powerhouse.
Uh-huh.
Its contribution is massive.
And still growing strong.
Definitely. The revenues there, they went from about $13.3 billion in 2021
Right.
up to a projected $33.242 billion in 2033. So North America alone is projected to be as big as the entire global market was back in 2021.
Wow. And the growth rate?
It's a very healthy 7.873% CAGR. Shows sustained demand in a mature market.
So what does this all mean when you break it down, like within North America, the U.S., Canada, Mexico?
Right, good question. So the U.S., as you probably expect, leads the pack. It grew from around $10.7 billion to a projected $26.3 billion. That's a CAGR of about 7.6%. Pretty steady. But what's quite interesting is Canada. Proportionally, its growth is actually faster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going from $1.64 billion up to over $4.4 billion. That's a strong 8.997% CAGR, nearly 9%.
Huh. So faster growth than the U.S. market.
Relatively speaking, yes. And Mexico's doing really well, too. From just under $1 billion, $7.932 billion, up to nearly $2.5 billion. That's an 8.4% CAGR. Also very robust.
It's fascinating, that Canadian number. Maybe a faster adoption rate or something else driving it north of the border.
Could be. It suggests maybe a market that's catching up quickly or has slightly different consumer dynamics.
Okay, let's shift continents. Europe, also a big market, right? How's it looking there?
Also showing substantial expansion, absolutely. Another key player.
Similar growth to North America.
Remarkably similar, actually. Europe expanded from just over $9.6 billion in 2021
Okay.
to projected $24 billion by 2033, and the CAGR, 7.872%, almost identical to North America's overall rate.
That is striking. Consistent demand across developed economies, maybe?
Seems likely. Now, within Europe, there's quite a mix. France showed really strong growth, moving from $1.28 billion to over $3.4 billion. That's an 8.6% CAGR.
Nice.
Italy also did well, from about $7.7 billion up to $1.9 billion, around 8.2%. Germany, a huge market, grew from $1.46 billion to nearly $3.5 billion, a bit slower at 7.2%.
And the UK?
UK from $1.17 billion up to $2.7 billion, so just under 7% CAGR. Russia's projected to hit almost $2.4 billion, growing steadily too. Spain, Sweden, Denmark. They all contribute.
Right, but what really jumped out at me when I looked at the report was the rest of Europe number.
Ah, yes. That was
But
interesting.
that category seemed, well, surprisingly
It
strong.
really was. So rest of Europe, which lumps together a lot of other countries, grew from $2.3 billion in 2021
Hmm.
for over $6.6 billion projected for 2033. And its KGR was a noteworthy 9.318%.
Wow, over 9%,
Yeah,
higher than the big individual countries like Germany or the UK.
exactly. It really makes you wonder about the combined power, maybe the untapped potential in those diverse, smaller markets, maybe faster adoption of trends there, different distribution.
Interesting point. Okay, now, the big one, Asia Pacific. You hinted this was the growth leader.
Without a doubt, if you're looking for where the real acceleration is happening, it's APAC.
Lay the numbers on us. How big are we talking?
The overall APAC market, it surged from $6.3 billion in 2021.
Okay, started smaller than Europe or North America.
All right, but look where it's going. Projected $18.271 billion by 2033.
18 billion.
And crucially, that reflects the highest regional KGR of them all, 9.519%, nearly double digits year-on-year compounded.
Okay, let's unpack that. Where are the engines inside APAC? Which countries are really driving this boom?
Well, India is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's expanding from under $1 billion, $0.924 billion, to over $2.85 billion. And get this, the KGR is an astounding 10.298%.
Over 10% every year.
Every single year, compounded. It's an incredible rate of expansion. Tells you something about the consumer shifts happening there.
Wow. Anyone else close to that?
Singapore is also very impressive. Smaller market, obviously, but growing from $0.2 billion to over $0.7 billion. That's a 10.075% CAGR, also over 10%.
Suggests a very engaged, maybe high-spending consumer base.
Could be. Then you have China, the giant. Rose from $1.9 billion to nearly $5.4 billion. Solid 9% CAGR there. Japan, also strong, from $1.2 billion to over $3.4 billion, again around 9%.
And Southeast Asia?
Southeast Asia as a collective region surged too, from $0.6 billion to $1.8 billion. That's a 9.88% CAGR. Really strong.
Okay, so high growth across the board.
Pretty much. But the real standout, if you can believe it, is the rest of APAC.
Even faster.
Even faster. This subregion jumped from about $0.6 billion to over $2.1 billion, the CAGR there, an exceptional 11.572%.
Over 11.5%. That's incredible. Where's all that growth coming from?
It's a mix of developing economies, new market entries, maybe lower starting bases, allowing for faster percentage growth. But the dynamism is undeniable.
It really paints a picture. North America and Europe are the big, steady foundations.
Right. Solid, mature growth.
But APAC is where the rocket fuel is right now, the real acceleration.
Exactly. That's where the most dramatic shifts seem to be happening.
Okay, quickly then, let's touch on the other regions. South America, Middle East, Africa. What's the story there?
South America is actually another really high-growth region.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, its market value went from $2.16 billion up to over $6.3 billion by 2033. That's a 9.378% CAGR.
So second only to APAC.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Within that, Argentina is showing particularly strong growth, nearly 10% CAGR. Brazil also very strong, around 9%. So a really vibrant emerging market there.
Interesting. And the Middle East?
Middle East growing steadily, from about $1.3 billion to over $2.7 billion. The CAGR is lower, around 6.7%.
Okay. Any standouts there?
The UAE had a higher growth rate within the region, closer to 8%.
Got it. And Africa?
Africa started smallest, about $6.6 billion in 2021, projected to reach nearly $1.5 billion. The CAGR is similar to the Middle East, around 6.7%. Nigeria and South Africa showed growth just over 6%.
So still growing, but at a noticeably slower pace than APAC or South America.
Exactly. Healthy growth, but suggesting markets perhaps in earlier stages of adopting these specific kinds of beverages or facing different economic factors.
So when you pull way back then and look at all these global numbers, all these different speeds,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway? It's quite a varied picture, isn't it?
It really is. You've got the explosive growth in Asia-Pacific and South America, think burgeoning economies, rising incomes, maybe faster adoption of global trends.
Right.
Then you've got the steady, substantial expansion in the established markets, North America and Europe, still plenty of growth, but from a bigger base. And then the Middle East and Africa, showing consistent growth, but maybe indicating markets with more runway ahead, still developing in these categories. It really shows how global this industry is, but also how nuanced it is region by region.
So tying it all together, what does this all mean for you listening? Whether you're just watching trends, maybe investing, or even just grabbing one of these drinks yourself?
Well, I think these numbers really hold up a mirror to how lifestyles are changing globally.
How so?
They reflect the rise of fitness culture, definitely, but also just the faster pace of life, the demand for convenience, for functional benefits, whether that's energy or hydration.
Yeah, the quick fix.
Kind of. And understanding these regional differences, like the boom in APAC versus the steady growth in Europe, it gives you real insight into global consumer behavior where the potential is shifting. It's clear this isn't just a fad. It's a major growing part of how people live and consume worldwide.
It's undeniable. Huge overall growth, accelerating in key areas. What particular number or trend really stood out to you from all this data?
For me, it's probably that double-digit growth in places like India and the rest of APAC. It just signals such a profound and rapid shift in consumer demand in those massive populations. The scale of change is just immense.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. Okay, so that brings us to a final thought, something for you to chew on after we wrap up. Given this massive sustained growth, especially in dynamic regions like Asia-Pacific and South America, as this market pushes towards, and likely beyond, that $86 billion mark, what comes next? What are the new health questions people will ask? What regulatory hurdles might pop up? Or what kind of new products, new innovations might define the next wave of this industry's incredible expansion?
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really going to dig into the sports and energy drinks market. It's a sector that's just been buzzing with activity, hasn't it? Kind of sitting where health goals, performance, and, well, convenience all meet. Our insights today, they're powered by cognitive market research, and they've given us some really fantastic material to work with. We're going to look at how this market has changed, from just being a gym thing to influencing our daily lives. We'll explore what's actually fueling its growth, some surprising hurdles, and how it's evolving so quickly. Okay, so let's kick things off. What's really energizing this market's massive surge? What are the big drivers here?
Well, it's interesting. It's not just that people are getting healthier, exactly. It's more about how their whole relationship with fitness has shifted. They aren't just, grabbing a drink to hydrate. They're actively trying to optimize their performance. Think biohacking almost.
Biohacking. So really targeted stuff.
Exactly. People have more active lifestyles, maybe morning jogs, maybe competitive sports, and they want beverages that do more. We're talking electrolytes, vitamins, things that promise better endurance, faster recovery, even mental alertness.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's not just what's in the drink, it's also about the when and where, isn't it? This whole convenience on the go thing seems huge. I mean, you see it everywhere. Students grabbing one between classes, professionals needing that afternoon pick-me-up. They're just so portable. And that instant effect.
Yeah.
It's perfect for busy lives, particularly in cities.
Oh, absolutely. And what's truly fascinating, I think, is the power of celebrity endorsements and just these incredibly bold marketing campaigns. You've got athlete sponsorships everywhere, big tie-ins with esports, massive social media pushes. It's dominating the scene. And the really interesting part isn't just that they use celebrities, but how effective it is, particularly with Gen Z and millennials. It's almost less about the drink itself and more about building this tribal identity. The drink becomes a lifestyle accessory, something you show off online.
Okay, so we've talked about the fuel, the growth drivers, but like you said, it's not all smooth sailing. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because every booming market hits challenges, right? What are the headwinds here?
Definitely. A major one, and it's really shaking things up, is the growing concern about health, specifically sugar and artificial ingredients. Consumers and regulators, too, are asking tough questions about high caffeine levels, about synthetic additives, those really sugary formulas.
Yeah, your level.
And it's leading to serious calls for brands to reformulate, and in some places, much tighter regulations are coming in. It really raises an important question, though. Is just tweaking the formula enough, or is there a deeper image issue the industry needs to tackle?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's not just internal pressure or regulators. There's competition too, right? For more natural options, things like coconut water or plant-based energy drinks, maybe those vitamin waters. They seem to be getting a lot of attention. Are these alternatives actually eating into the traditional market or just making the whole functional drink category bigger?
That's a great question. It's probably a bit of both, actually. Many are definitely expanding the pie, bringing in consumers who might never have touched a traditional energy drink. People who want natural to mean, truly minimal processing.
Right.
But yeah, the established brands are certainly feeling the squeeze. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, That's where the regulatory pressure really kicks in. We're seeing governments rolling out sugar taxes, bans on marketing to kids, demands for clearer labels.
Especially in certain regions.
Exactly. Europe and Latin America are particularly active on this front. It forces companies to adapt fast or lose out. This isn't just small tweaks, it's forcing major shifts in product lines, branding. It's really accelerating innovation.
Okay, so the industry isn't just taking punches, it's adapting. It's evolving pretty quickly to meet these challenges and what consumers want now. So what are the big innovation trends we're seeing? How are they adapting?
Well, a huge shift is towards low sugar, no sugar options, and also what's known as clean label products. It's not just listing ingredients anymore, it's about building trust, signaling natural sources, minimal processing.
Transparency.
Precisely. Brands are actively using alternatives like stevia or monk fruit, providing really clear ingredient lists. It's all about appealing to that wellness-focused buyer, building that perception of health.
And looking beyond just sweeteners, what about those next-gen formulas?
Yeah.
What new functional ingredients are really making waves?
Oh, there's a lot happening there. We're seeing things like BCAAs, those are amino acids important for muscle repair, also protein for energy, CBD for its perceived calming effects, and even nootropics.
Nootropics for the brain, right?
Yeah, compounds meant to boost cognitive functions like focus or memory. So it's moving beyond just physical performance. It's becoming more holistic, tapping into mental well-being too. These drinks are targeting very specific goals: recovery, focus, even potentially aiding sleep.
Wow, it really is like these drinks have had their own glow-up, hasn't it? From just gym fuel to something.
Mhm.
Oh, more sophisticated. And speaking of presentation, how else are brands trying to stand out beyond just what's inside the can?
That brings up a really important point: packaging. Eco-friendly packaging is becoming a huge differentiator. Consumers are demanding sustainability, so brands are shifting. More recyclable aluminum cans, exploring biodegradable bottles, cutting down on plastic overall.
So sustainability is now a competitive edge.
Definitely. For many brands, it's becoming essential to stay relevant, especially with environmentally conscious consumers. It's not just a nice to have anymore.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Well, it means the choices out there are changing fast. You're seeing more options tailored to specific needs, more transparency about ingredients, and innovation driven by health concerns, convenience, and that push for sustainability. Lots to consider. Looking ahead, it seems the future for sports and energy drinks is really about constant innovation, more personalization, and a serious commitment to sustainability. Those feel like the keys to growth.
Absolutely. And think about it, these aren't just simple refreshments anymore. They're becoming lifestyle enhancers,
Yeah.
relevant everywhere from, your gym bag to the boardroom. They're evolving into specialized tools for performance and well-being.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into such a fast-moving market. We hope you found it interesting. Keep an eye on these trends. You'll definitely see them playing out. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.